It's nice to meet you, Katie. Do you want to hang out? Okay.
You put Blumhouse and James Wan together, they're just two titans of this industry.
What the hell is that?
I get accused of being the master of killer doll movies.
Occupational hazard.
James Wan is a legend in the horror genre.
Are you sure?
Blumhouse movies, they are my favorites. And them teaming up with James, it's just so exciting.
It's been almost 10 years since James and I last worked together.
And we've always wanted to come together again.
Jesus Christ, I thought we were friends.
One more, it's looking great.
Bringing Gerard on to direct
Brought M3GAN to life.
his vision was perfect for the tone of the movie. He is terrific at balancing horror.
This really dark humor.
M3GAN. Have I done something to upset you, Gemma?
I know you think you're maximizing your objective function.
Oh, really?
I think people are going to have a blast when they see this film.
The idea of Blumhouse and James Wan teaming up is just great for horror movies. It's a real powerhouse duo, and it's exciting to see what they'll come up with next.
What are you?
I'm M3GAN.
Baby, don't scare. Don't provoke us or we will.
I'd like to start asking both of you about the genesis of this story and how the project came together.
Well, the project came together when myself and my team at Atomic Monster were just chilling out. We were hanging, like we always do, like at the end of the week. We like to just have drinks and chat about stuff, and we started talking about movies that we would like to see. And as always, our conversation in one way or another will end up talking about a killer doll movie, and really the seed of M3GAN really did come from that conversation, and we thought, wouldn't it be great to make a movie where it's Annabelle meets the Terminator, So like you start off with like this android doll that is there to kind of help you out, but because of her more zealot personality and nature of trying to protect the person that she's paired to, you start to see the darker side of her. That was the genesis, and we brought it to Jason at Blumhouse, and these guys just took a liking to it.
Yeah, we obviously have known James for a long time, since we did Insidious together. And when we get a phone call from James that he has a scary movie, that's already good. But then a scary doll movie, we were predisposed to like the script before we read it.
And what can you say of Akira Cooper and the work that she did with the script?
Akela did an amazing job. I mean, I worked with her to sort of crack the story. But so once we had that sort of foundation of the rough layout of the story, she just went off and she had fun with it. I told her, don't hold back, just go as nuts and go as crazy as you can. But just remember to make sure that the human aspect of it, the human relationship within the family dynamic is important. And I think we can have all this crazy, scary thing happen, but the family stuff, the human aspect of it needs to work well for the horror to really play. And that's what Kayla is very great at doing.
And one of my favorite things about the movie is the tone that she's got, where it's scary, but it's also really fun and funny, which is really hard to do, easy to do, hard to do well. And I think she does a terrific job at that.
And then you have, of course, find the right director. What do you think Gerard brought to this?
Well, Gerard definitely brought his New Zealand sensibility. I love Gerard. Jason and I, we are huge fans of his first movie, Housebound, where it literally has a similar tone, right? It's a haunted house genre that plays with a haunted house trope, but he kind of spin that on its head a little bit, and he leaned into the comedy of that as well, or the humor, I should say, not comedy. And that's what Gerard did so well with this, is he was able to to not be afraid, to play the horror of M3GAN, to play the emotion of Caddy and her loss, and play into Gemma's, sort of trying to deal with her career, and then having to work with this, trying to be a mother at the same time to her niece, but at the same time, Gerard has to look at the whole picture and go, okay, this is all pretty absurd, so how can I find the humor in this? And so Akela gave him basically the template for Gerard to kind of run away with it.
I think also he did something which was vitally important for the movie. It might sound obvious, but there are a lot of other directors might not have done the same thing. He was just singularly focused on M3GAN. Sometimes it was annoying because we were like, what about what it is? But he was right. He was right. Obviously, the movie's called M3GAN. If M3GAN doesn't work, the movie doesn't work. And I think that focus on M3GAN really is one of the keys to the success of the movie. And we really have him to thank for that.
Yeah.
I could not agree with you more. And speaking of that, speaking of M3GAN, that kind of is the elephant in the room. How did you guys manage to do it? Because we've never seen anything like this before.
Geez, we did a lot of tests at the beginning to see, try different methods and methodology to try and bring her to life. And it's a combination of, just filmmaking tricks and methods to how to kind of bring her to life. One of the great thing about, what Gerard did was just treating her like she's a human character, not just a doll, right? And he would photograph her, shoot her with all the sort of personalities that you would shoot with, with all the characteristics of how you would shoot a human actor with. And I think, treating her like she's a real thing helps.
Yeah, and we wanted the audience to have, I think one of the things that's fun about it is the way that we created her is when you're watching her, your mind keeps tricking you into thinking that she's a real person, and then you're reminded very specifically that she is not. And I think that's one of the fun things of the ride of the whole movie.
Speaking of the real people, I thought Alison was brilliant as Gemma. What can you say about her?
Well, I've known Alison for a long time. We were friends, and then she did get out, and so I got to know her through a professional lens. And she's a great actress. She's really passionate about acting and the craft of acting. She's also a great partner to us off screen. We have a great relationship like that. We offered her a bunch of movies after Get Out, and this is the first one she said yes to, and hopefully we'll make a lot more with her. But she's been a great partner to us.
Yeah, no, she has a great range in the sense that she's playing a character who's so career-driven, right? But at the same time, she has this sort of struggle and dig down to find the sort of the parental side of her, like the motherly side, to take care of this child that has just been dumped into her lap. And I think Alison is really good at sort of like walking that fine rope of like, oh, I gotta be strong here, but then I need to be soft. I need to be more compassionate with the little girl to try and break through to her. And Alison was very great at representing that.
Speaking of the little girl, what a talent Violet is as Katie, right?
Yeah, Violet is amazing. Like, she just captured the vulnerability that the character needed for this role.
Totally. You obviously didn't listen to that warning about not working with kids and dogs on this one, right?
Kids and dogs and dolls, right?
We rarely listen to that warning, right?
You were mentioning before, we're talking about the tone, which I think is one of the greatest things of this film. Ronnie Chen gives us some humor there that I find invaluable.
I love that you bring up Ronnie Chen. Big fan of Ronnie's. I love his stand-up stuff. He is such a character. And he makes the boss character so much fun to watch. And I think, like Jason and I, we're big fans of Ronnie, and to be able to work with him on this is great.
And you shot the film on location. I mean, in Canada and New Zealand. How was that experience?
It was good. It was great. We had a great experience in New Zealand. A great crew there. It was helpful. Gerard made a big difference. Gerard made it happen more easily. But overall, we had a great experience.
Yeah, between New Zealand and Australia, we've got a really great sort of film crew down there, and so we sort of cross-pollinate on each other's project down there, and we've got a really good team. So I was really happy that we were able to take it to New Zealand.
And the film is visually stunning. I thought Simon did a great job as DP.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yes, yeah.
We did too. Yeah.
So the movie is entertaining. It's creepy. It's scary. It's fun. But it also talks about some interesting themes that have to do with our relationship with technology and our dependence on it. right?
It truly is, and again, that's why we think the movie works as well as it does, is because it's not just a scary movie. You know, like all great horror films, they have something to say, right? It's a great reflection of the horror genre always. It's a great reflection of the time that they're made in, and all the good ones actually have some kind of social commentary to them. And of course, in this film, it is about our obsession and our fixation with technology and how we rely on it so much, so constantly. And so here's a movie with a character with this young kid who builds such a dependent relationship with this artificial doll, and she sees this thing as a real life substitute to the parents that she lost at the start of the film, and you know, it's a great commentary, and I feel like that's another thing that the movie did really well to kind of talk about all that stuff.
Yeah, it shows how AI can be great and incredible for us, and also not. And also very dangerous and not good.
In that sense, how would you describe your own relationship with technology? I mean, are you technologically savvy people?
I like to think that I am to some degree. I know I'm very dependent. I'm hooked on my phone and my computer and my iPads, so it's kind of hard to not be.
I'm hooked on it too. I wish I was less hooked, but I'm pretty hooked.
So here we have Atomic Monster and Blumhouse teaming up together. I think the fans are very excited about that. How did that all work out?
Well, it worked out from when we first met and worked together through James directing Insidious 1 and 2, and then producing and being very involved in all the movies going forward. Up to today, we're doing the fifth one. I remember when we actually, now people do this a lot, but you're like, we're calling it chapter, remember? We're calling it,
Yes.
And we've worked on we've developed various things over the years, but I've always been, I've always had a great experience working with James, and I've always wanted to formalize it in one way or another, and hopefully we're on the road to doing that. And I think it'll be great for the two companies, and particularly great for the fans.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt that Jason's truly one of the smartest producers that I've had the opportunity to work with. When I went off to start Atomic Monster, one of the things I did was like, I'm going to copy what Jason's doing. I'll look over and go, I'm going to write this down. You know what I mean? Like, you copy from the best, right? And I've always admired what Jason did, and you know, and how, you know, he's got a very good instinct about things, and that's one of the things I love about him is he's very much an old school producer in the sense of, like, you know, he recognizes talent, he knows how to do it, but then he approaches it in a very modern way. And I like that, and I see that as a great sort of like model for me. And I, you know, I always said, oh, you know what? If I do Atomic Monster, I don't mind being, you know, like the bastard stepchild of what Jason's doing. And to be able to now kind of come together and collaborate on future projects is exciting.
And following up on that, what do you think makes this project so unique?
Well, I mean, I think this project, M3GAN, is a great representation of us working together. It truly is the, you know, it's the first film that represents, you know, potentially Atomic Monster and Blumhouse coming together and, you know, and sort of sharing resources and ideas and stuff like that. I hope that they could be many more M3GANs. At least that's the hope.
Yeah, but I also think that there definitely will be. Hopefully there'll be more M3GANs, but there's definitely going to be, we're working on one, but there's going to be more films about, especially horror movies about AI. And what I think is special about this movie is it's kind of the first one about AI today. There have been what AI was 15 and 20 and 30 years ago is not nearly as threatening as what it is today. And I think we'll see more movies like this, but what's special about this is it's the first one.
Both of you are total giants in the genre. And the fact of the matter is that this is a genre that has fascinated viewers since the dawn of cinema.
Yes.
Dawn of storytelling.
Absolutely. Yeah. And before that, the dawn of storytelling. Yeah. Why do you think we like to experience that communal sensation of going into a place, getting scared? And we've been doing it for centuries. Why is that?
Well, my perspective is we love to go, to me, going to a horror movie or an action movie or any kind of movie that gets you to experience a whole bunch of different emotions is like a roller coaster ride. So you go into it, you see all this scary stuff, and it pushes you to the edge of sort of like mortality. It reminds you of all this other stuff. but then you're not actually in harm's way. You're sitting in a nice, comfy, dark room with the air conditioning on. You're eating your popcorn and drinks, right? But you let your imagination run wild. You get to go into the places that the filmmakers take you to, but you're still in the comfort of your own, like in the seat, right, in the theater, and you get to share that fun experience with the strangers in the room, and you guys are laughing together, screaming together. I think that's so much fun, and that's what makes roller coaster rides so fun, is because at the end of the day, it may be terrifying as you're going through it, but once the ride ends, you get up and you go back to the safety of your own home.
Your life, yeah. I totally agree with everything James said. I think horror, in a certain way, it makes the world feel safer. Whether it's a movie or a book or whatever it is that you're reading or watching these scary things happen to other people, not you, and you can close the book, you can walk out of the movie theater, right. You can completely control it, and somehow that helps us digest the real fears that are out there in the world. It's very strange. When the more chaotic the world is, the better horror often does, and I think it's a result of what we're both talking about.
So just to wrap up and following up on what you were saying, Jason, what scares you in real life?
The real world.
The real world.
I've always said everything in the real world.
I always said Donald Trump. And he's still scary.
He's still scary.
He's this much less scary today, but he's still scary.
He hides in Jason's closet at night.
Does.
And he peeks out.
When I close my eyes, that's who I see in my nightmares.